Everybody, it's Holger Mueller here from Constellation Research, welcoming you for the first time, I think, live from a pre-conference meeting in my background, shamelessly plugging HPE in the background. Welcome to my fabulous co-host, Liz Miller. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm really proud of you for not being on the stage, though. Like, for a minute there, when we said we were going to be filming and you were going to be live someplace, I thought for a minute that you might actually try to get up there and just film, like with
Stage
the lighting,
sucking me in.
Sucking you in. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
So here to our audience, this is the audience test, right? So Liz and me have done, I don't know, 40 episodes. We're at 80, right? So roughly half.
We're at 82. This is episode 82.
Hannah, exactly. So this is 41, right? Our producer Hannah and me, we think Liz's background has changed, which she denies.
No.
If you're paying attention and seeing this, and you think Liz's background has changed or not changed, please be social about it. Right? This is the test if people are really watching this or this. Right. But in the other part,
it's like,
there's news and enterprise software, right? The news,
I know,
right?
There is the drama of my non-changing background, and if people can tell me which direction the dance floor is, then you win a prize. But more importantly, we got to talk about the news. Holger, what's been happening in your world?
Well, going chronically, right? 2 weeks ago, we both were in the Florida swamps at a certain German ERP company, starting with an S, ending with a P. Surprise, surprise, it was all about this new technology, starting with an I and ending with an A and ending with an I. Already mixing it up. But hey, I have the proof that I know this stuff. I have the
He's
AI
got a sticker, people.
He's got a sticker. This year, I'm the expert for this.
Can't argue.
Yeah, so I think overall it was a good Sapphire. I mean, a broad push from SAP in lots of areas. Of course, AI was plain central, but good progress on BTP, where finally the build capability of the enterprise application platform, as I call them, the EAP, is ready for prime time, and people are really building things with it. Lots of interesting things on the data side, but big news. You heard it here first. Potentially will be coming in the second half next year. We can't really mention it. They didn't really mention it, but we all know what's going to be to serve with AI, right? And then great stuff happening on the C something technology, right?
The C something technology.
To not upset you.
CX, anyway, it's an ongoing feud, people. But listen, here's the thing that I walked away from Sapphire really pleasantly surprised about, which was how far the thinking and the strategy at SAP has gone into how the motion of their programs like Grow have gone. Grow, of course, being for that ideal mid-market, new to SAP customer. They've really thought about the business applications that also have to go with that data, with that cloud. So it's not just, hey, this is a way to get you up and into the cloud and all these new things. It's really about how do you get your business there? How do you get your business running? So with the inclusion of Sales Cloud in with the Grow motion, I think that's a really smart move, and I think it was a really great way to go. I think, I said this before, and I think, Holger, you and I have had this conversation. I had this conversation live in Florida. There was a renewed energy, I think, and I think that the reality is that where SAP was walking into the Sapphire is, of course, right at the heels of their larger than life founder with Hasso really taking a much needed break, a well-earned move.
A break or retirement, right? We can debate it. It's retirement, exactly. Officially retired.
He's going to be just as busy in his retirement, right?
We'll see, we'll see.
I think that in any organization where you are facing that large of a presence in your organization retiring or leaving, there could be a vacuum. And there could have been a vacuum at SAP, and there really hasn't been, which I think is a real testament to not only Hasso and how he set that up for the future, but also Christian Klein and the executive board. I think that you really had a lot of strong leadership. I think Christian was super comfortable, probably more comfortable than I've really ever seen him in person at a Sapphire. He was having fun up there, Holger. I mean, like he was good to see. Time. Yeah, it was.
And overall, like better Sapphire than a year ago, dramatically Sapphire back then 2 years ago. So overall, good progress across the board.
All moving in
to mention what's happening on the CRM side, right? SAP is doing something smart in money. They use their strong position at the back end where all the other third-party CRM systems go in, which is SD, the SD module in ECC or even S4HANA. So building on top of the visibility of that, I think is a smart move because stuff is there anyway. So it's an interesting through the back office coming into the front office strategy, which I think has the potential, has never been done before, and has the potential to have some impact. We'll see.
I think you're going to keep seeing that too, as well as, when you see the rebuild of Sales Cloud, you see the rebuild of Service Cloud. I think last year the CX team got kind of bumped and bruised a lot for saying, oh, you're taking too much time. Why did you have to rebuild all this? You have all these acquisitions. But the reality is they needed to build it on a really modern architecture. They needed it to be cloud ready and to be S/4HANA ready. They needed it to fit in and build on top of BTP. So I think that they did the right thing, and they've really talked the talk and walked the walk. But it also, it's coming through in results. You're seeing customers just have access to data like they've never had before. They can ask and query. They can actually use AI in a very tangible way, which is also really nice to hear from customers. And I think that was probably the best thing for me.
Talking about bumping and cruising, right? The team which is getting bumping and cruising right now this year, I think it's the SAP SuccessFactors under new leadership with Dan Beck. And I think they're doing a lot of things behind the scenes, very absent in the keynotes after taking center stage. But as expected, with Mueller running our product and formally in charge of solely the spend product, the spend product integration to S/4HANA is getting much better, and the spend product took a lot of center stage. As the HR analyst here, I would have loved to see more field glass in the keynote too, right? Gig hiring, gig work is super important, but hey, only what hasn't happened doesn't happen. And unfortunately, it didn't happen at Sapphire in Barcelona, which was last week. And it was same like last year, 2 back-to-back. Last year was in Barcelona. European customers were not happy about just getting warmed up videos from Orlando the week before, which they all checked in. Why do I fly to Barcelona? Then I can take off in Barcelona if I'm at least there for not getting the news. So SAP, I'm afraid, made the same mistake. I have a video coming out on that with people who actually were in Barcelona to know more. The Green Ledger, I got the clarification before, is also not coming or wasn't announced in Barcelona, but there will be a pilot program for it. And it looks like it's not going to be a ledger, but it's going to be an analytical solution. So we'll figure out what happened to all the green systems.
Probably better for folks who are looking at that.
Better return of R&D. I've been saying that all along.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, last week I was also at Pegaworld. Talk about CRM taking over, right? But I've also got to say that it was really about automation taking over. It's about those workflows, right? It's about being able to look and understand those repeatable processes and bring them back into the organization, whether you're looking at CX, whether you're looking at CRM, whatever you're looking at the outcome, or if you're looking at the start of the technology. Holger and I will argue about this for days, even though we're saying the exact same thing. It's fine. Ignore us. But it was really great to hear again from customers. I think that's the theme of my last couple of weeks, Holger, out on the road, and being at so many of these events, is that event producers are really taking a great cue, and Pegaworld absolutely did this. They put their customers front and center. We got to hear from T-Mobile. We got to hear from the VA, the Veterans Administration. It does not sound like a big deal when you say things like, oh, they have a lot of old processes and they've got to do things. The VA still has people faxing in information. And what do they do when they get that fax? Or what does someone do when they get it emailed? They print it out in paper and have to send it to the next process, right?
Yeah. So to digitize it again, right? So, yeah.
Right, they got to digitize it again. It's incredible. But what the VA is able to do has a tangible result. And I thought it was so powerful because the statement was, we can't deliver care unless we get people in the door. And we can't get people in the door unless we get these new digital processes in place. And so they're taking it step by step, one at a time, and they're using Pega to do it. And I thought it was really impressive.
It's a
great story from Deutsche Telekom as well, which was, again, it's really all about how do we get people who might be stuck in the status quo to really be able to look at those individual small motions, those individual processes to really make big transformations. So I was really impressed by that. But again, if there's something that I've learned from it, hey, vendors, everybody, if anyone's listening to us, if anyone ever watches this and is going to take a note from these two crazy Muellers, get your customers out there talking about the value, right? Get them talking about their outcomes. It is always what lasts in my head long after I have left Vegas or Orlando.
Yeah, especially it's interesting because customers a proof point nobody can argue with. You may not agree with the direction, you may not agree with the speed, you may not agree with the prioritization, but if the customers are happy, the customers are happy. There's no argument to be made by anyone. So use customers when you have them, and there's general sign like in 2024, we see much more customers coming on the newest innovation, which shows there's a maturization in the market, which is good. Me on the other side last week, I had to go to Philadelphia. I was a fish out of water. I was at a security conference. This was scary. Lots of black hat people with different titles, people I never see. I looked at a keynote from the AWS CISO. I was thinking like, oh my God, what am I doing here? But no, just kidding. Interesting, like security, obviously part of next generation applications. Still not 100% why I was there. I learned so much. I got to know so many new colleagues. The security world is still different.
They sent the invitation to the wrong Mueller.
There must have been a typo on that. Anyway, it was good to be there. I missed it last year, so they want me to go. So interesting to see what AWS pushing things across them. They try to make a strong case that security is part of the culture. I would push it further. It's part of the organizational DNA. As you know, I'm a fan of organizational DNA, like human DNA. And what dawned on me in that meeting, right? I mean, Jeff Bezos starting with Amazon as a book retailer. People had to trust him to give them their credit card, not to abuse it, and to show up the books afterwards, right? So the DNA from Amazon is like, give me something and I will deliver. And I keep you secure in the process. And I think that's still there. They were very proud, which is impressive. I don't know many vendors do this. Every Friday, all the way to CEO, there's a security meeting with the product leads, talking about security events in the week and what are you going to do about it. That's definitely a good best practice, which other vendors could look into, and definitely helps them to be paranoid and have security as a culture or part of their organizational DNA.
They actually believe they take it a step further. It's like, I love the culture example of Amazon kind of as an organization and their posture on security. They do these, it's 2 pizza teams. It's like, no, you want a small enough team that you can feed the team with 2 pizzas.
That is product development, by the way. That is product development.
They do it for everything. They do product development, but they also do it with security for any type of problem solving, right? So anytime they have, so every single group has this cross-functional kind of team that focuses in on security, and their purpose is to meet and ask the hard questions and have the hard conversations and to ask those what if, like, well, what if we don't do this, and to see those scenarios, because the reality is whether you're dealing with software or they're dealing with hardware, and I see this time and time and time again, especially in hardware, everyone assumes that it's going to be way too much money to stop and actually put hardware, any type of security, bare metal up so that you get boot up security right there in your devices. It's too expensive. So you pass that kind of risk downstream. This is what they think of when you're talking about a heart or a heart valve. We can't possibly put security in there. We'll pass that risk onto the doctor, onto the hospital. You're like, it's a heart. Like, maybe we have the conversation, people. Well, so I really applaud.
Pass it on to the practitioner, right?
Right, that's what they do, right? And we see it in software, we see it in hardware. So I really appreciate what Amazon's doing there, because I think it really is. It's a hard thing to do, but since they've done it from day zero, it's just part of their culture. It's part of the conversation.
And the 2 pizza team is a super interesting approach. I totally agree with you. Very intriguing. Really interesting. Also. It's haunting them to a certain point now, because the SageMaker team is not a 2 pizza team, right? Impossible, right? So as they're building larger things, it's interesting to me, how can they change and operate in a large team, small team model? What I think is the most interesting thing is that you start getting funding from Andy Jassy and used to be Jeff Bezos with writing the press release, which is about the differentiators. And I'm a big fan of differentiators in product development. It makes everything easy. You don't need to make big marketing budgets. You don't need good salespeople. Customers get it right away. They want to have it. It's the best thing on the planet next to sliced bread, right? So it's self-selling. So plan for the differentiators. And that's something Amazon is doing. Really.
Absolutely.
Or AWS too.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, Holger, I think that comes to end of our newsreel, or at least what our news was. So for other news and notes, stay tuned. Listen, you're going to be coming and hearing a little bit more about our tales from the road. We're going to be hearing from Ray Wang, who had a great interview that we're going to be sharing in just a little bit. But until the end of this half hour, we'll be right back. Enjoy the next couple of clips.
Hi, this is Ray Wang with Constellation Research, here with Nick Zitzen. He's the Chief Strategy and Corporate Affairs Officer at ServiceNow. It's amazing catching up with you again. How have you been?
I've been great. It's great to see you. Thank you for being here. You sort of being at Knowledge adds a level of esteem to the event.
Oh, well, thank you very much. No, I'm here because there's so many advancements. And I remember the days that when you guys first joined, we're talking about where was workflow going, where was business headed, what was going to shift. And I think we both walked out of here saying, this is a platform company.
Yeah, that's right. You were one of the first to say it. And it's it's business process. I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like, I mean, we talk about new innovation, we talk about changing and the pace of innovation and all that. It's business process re-engineering, which has been a movement for a long time. It just so happens that business processes, for the most part, still really never accomplish what they're intended to accomplish. So if you get a clean platform like ServiceNow, you actually have a lot of opportunities. So.
Well, what's exciting about that is that the ITSM was the first use case of a platform, and you guys figured out how to actually turn that into an engine to create a whole bunch of other use cases, a whole bunch of other personas, a whole bunch of other business processes coming into the market. And that abstraction layer is so critical right now because there's a topic you and I have been talking about, which is margin compression. Right? There are either companies that are actually building software to actually help you consolidate, drive down the cost structure, or there are people that are barriers in the way. So which one are you guys?
It's amazing. I was thinking about earlier in my career working on political campaigns, which we're not going to talk politics today, but there was one campaign and the whole theme of the campaign was clean up the mess.
Yes.
And I feel like just in terms of what ServiceNow is organically designed to do, we exist to clean up the mess. You know, you have a lot of companies, you know, many of the clients that we share have so many systems. People are bouncing in and out of them all the time. They're not getting a tremendous ROI out of what they're putting in. If you can figure out a way either to de-risk those investments or to maximize the value that those investments get you, then by nature, you're accretive to the productivity and to the value that a client gets. I mean, that's a great story for us to be able to tell.
You know, actually, you reminding me of this. Like, we used to just say, hey, look, here's ERP, here's CRM, here's HR, right? And the functional features, we got all the processes, right? But businesses don't operate in those silos,
no.
Right? And that's actually the cost. That's a tax on every single business.
It's amazing. We come together, and you run your own organization. You bring your team together. You say, hey, I want to talk about business outcomes. It's seldom the case that any of those business outcomes that you as the CEO would care about, you can accomplish in any one silo in a company, right? You've got to work across the enterprise to get it. So if you've got a platform that actually can help connect and be a connective tissue for all the different parts of a team, all the different systems within those teams, then you've got a winner.
Yeah, and this thing around margin compression, like at the beginning of the year, probably last 2 years, what was happening is we had 5% interest rates. Every strategy firm came in and said, you know what, you need to drive down your cost structure, you need to actually get to something that makes sense. You overhired when it was 0% interest rates, let's streamline that. The second thing came in, let's look at automation, let's look at AI. There's ability to do an AI arbitrage, so maybe we can get some efficiencies out of there. And then this margin compression comes into place, right, where people are trying to figure out what are those new business models. And in fact, even if you do incrementally, like 20% better, 30% better, it's not enough, right? We're going to see some massive transformation there. So what are the big announcements from the event that you're excited about?
I'm excited about all of them because that's what I'm paid to say. I would tell you that you know, the work that's being done to engineer classic analytical AI, generative AI, into the platform architecture itself. And that's not a light lift. You heard it on day one in Bill's keynote from John Sigler and from Joe Davis. To design a platform reference architecture that can absorb all the data inputs, that can allow for models that we curate or models that people bring us, like that's a really serious engineering accomplishment. Our team's done a great job. They're going to continue to do a great job. This is about future-proofing the architecture so that customers can run the use cases that they want. I'm excited about that. I'm obviously excited about the idea of getting really serious about this whole single pane of glass concept. Again, something you heard from Bill and you saw from CJ. If we're not going to replace all of these different systems, and let's be clear, there's a lot of good software companies out there, right? We're not saying to anybody, and nor are we hearing from anybody, hey, my plan is to rip all these systems out. That's not going to happen. The question is, how do you make it easier for an individual, for Ray, for Nick, to work across those systems? You create one single experience, much like we have on our smartphones, right? One single interface, so you can pull up what you need. I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about our advancements in the front office. You heard some from John Ball yesterday.
Oh yeah.
The partnership with Genesys is a big deal. So there's a lot happening. I think the point Bill keeps making is it's an end-to-end platform serving different industries and different personas, and you see a little bit of new in all of those areas here.
You know, that last mile is so important, right? Being able to connect the dots. That's where the efficiencies are going to be happening. We're going to go machine to human, human to human, machine to machine. These things are all going to be interactions, and we've got to be able to operate seamlessly, and you're going to see that in the future. So actually, more on the fun side, we've been talking about where ethics and AI and responsibility are going to come into play. You've been talking about culture and culture inside organizations. All these are going to come to a head soon. Where do you see that in the future?
Yeah, you hear it now. Like we always have this this natural instinct as human beings to sort of go, oh, it's like the Matrix. You know, the machines.
Those dystopian movies.
The machines want to kill you, right? Like they're going to kill everybody, or they're going to take everybody's job. Like everyone's going to get laid off. No one's going to be needed anymore because of technology. Come on, we got to be real with people. I think people are desperate for some real conversation. The political process is not often given it to us in the United States, and that's not a knock on any individual. That's just the way the process has gone. Yeah. So you're talking about the tidal wave of new innovation in business and in the enterprise. We just could have netted out with people. Like, yeah, your job's probably going to change a little bit. Yeah, you're probably going to need some different skills. You're going to need to feel comfortable with different kinds of technologies. But that creates an opportunity for you. How do you want to change the work you do? How do you want to get better? How do you want to, how do you want to maximize your potential? People just want to be real.
I think it's a series of conversations to empower CEOs and executives to have those conversations. And I think they're not comfortable in having that because they're not sure what the outcome is. And I think we could probably do that.
Yeah.
Like we could probably start those conversations to say, look, here's a job, here's what it's going to look like in the future. But guess what? There's going to be 5 other jobs that look like this. Yeah. And we're not even sure what that looks like.
Well, I mean, it reminds me of the example you gave in one of your books. I can't remember which one it was, where you talked about the #1 performing equity in publicly traded markets as a result of digital transformation.
It was Domino's Pizza. It went from $3 to 300 something between 2009 and 2019.
Yeah, and we all know because you can track your pizza order on your phone, and like we don't think of that as digital transformation. But there you have a pizza business doing really well, changing how it does business, creating more opportunities for people to work there. So it doesn't have to be scary. It just has to be, we have to be open to these kinds of changes.
Well, here's one in the opening of the next book I'm going to write. In the 20s, there was this concept called artificial refrigeration, and it was going to change the future of work. It was going to change how people behave. It was going to improve health outcomes. The winners were Kelvinator, Frigidaire, Amana, GE. These are companies that no longer, play that role. Who was the winner?
Who was the winner?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Because they took artificial refrigeration and made refrigeration a whole nother part of the business, and they actually used that in the business model. In the AI world, we're going to see the same thing. It's not the companies that are selling the tools of AI, it's the companies that are using AI to enable business.
100%. And you saw that today in CJ's keynote, the idea of changing.
Oh, those are amazing demos.
Right? Cool demos about, maybe you use an avatar, maybe it's like there's all kinds of ways that it's going to nibble around the edges of what we do. In some cases, they'll go right to the core, but this is an opportunity. Bill's line, optimism is the only free stimulus left in the world.
That's true.
If you choose to look at something as an opportunity and it's not as a threat, you're going to be in Ray's next book as an example of success and not as failure.
So, back your turn at me.
Oh yeah, so you go everywhere.
All right.
You're everywhere, literally. There's not I see you on social media all the time. You're covering every aspect of the industry. What's the most important part of the industry right now? Take ServiceNow aside, because we're at our event, forget us. Most important part of the industry that you're seeing right now vis-a-vis the transition and the new innovation on AI?
I actually think it's not any of that. It's the private capital markets. The private capital markets are operating with a level of precision that I've never seen. They know where to invest, they know how to invest, they know the complete value chain and all the monetization models against it. And so if you're betting against private capital, you're going to lose.
Interesting. And is this new wave of investment going to create new gateways for growth in the industry? You think they're backing, I assume, earlier stage companies where they see the technology is promising?
Both. They know which acquisitions to make and how to actually acquire revenue, acquire talent, or acquire IP. But one of the most important things actually is not that. I think maybe in about a couple years from now, we all need to convene a constitutional convention where we actually relook at our digital rights, or what our rights look like in a digital and AI age, and retake a look at what we should have as a country. Every country's probably got to go do that, and I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing I'll look at.
I love it. You're a legend. When's the next book coming out?
I don't know. I can ask my publisher, but hopefully soon.
Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for being here as well.
Hello everybody, it's Holger Mueller from Constellation Research. One more time from an airline lounge. This is why the blurred background. Here to sum up my top 5 takeaways from Amazon's Inforce event, which happened this week, actually finished today in Philadelphia. With no further ado, let's jump into these takeaways. Number 5 is generally good news for the audience and users of AWS that AWS has security close and near to their heart. It is overall getting deeper and wider. Common example was that AWS is introducing Amazon Guard Duty malware protection for S3. S3 has been a thorn in the side of customers in terms of security. We all know legally 3 buckets. AWS has done many things to make S3 widely popular, but also more safe. And adding malware protection in terms of when scanning uploads into if there's anything fishy in that upload of that code is certainly a key aspect to that. Another prominent tool is IAM Access Analyzer, and it's getting updated. So you can do custom policy checks, checking on certain things where people might have too much access. Also very valuable is there's a guided revocation capability, which makes it easier to revocate things because users are so user-friendly as it might be. And also you get the default list or some alert about non-used roles, which is always data apologies which can lead to security events. And then important also to strengthen the whole network is multi-factor authentication. Root and IAM users now can use that. And to make that easier, AWS probably listened to customers, and you mentioned it, but they added the whole passkey support for that to make it easier for customers. And it's very popular with customers, so I'd be surprised if that would be the only reason. Off to number 4. It's a vibrant ecosystem. There's no question about that. Inside of AWS, the show floor was full with the who's who of the security community. Everybody's on the marketplace. The AWS marketplace is a big success, so it's easier for customers to buy things, to use existing AWS credits to add security third partners were just attendance were very good overall, and net positive for AWS, no question about it. And we also see that prominently that data lakes always win. Because it's the infinite storage, the infinite insight capability of storing everything's relevant. SAP, AWS, not SAP, that was my last event, introduced CloudTrail, which now is more and more connected, so it's getting a more and more richer data lake with all the capabilities. And we live in the time of AI and natural processing. Language processing is a key capability, so you can now use natural language processing to query events and data out of AWS CloudTrail. So good progress from that side. And talking about AI, we're in the AI area, no question about that. So that means, of course, that AWS is doing more things with its key tool, which is SageMaker, and it's making AWS Audit Manager extending generative AI best practices as a framework to Amazon SageMaker. Important aspects to make sure everything's secure, safe, potentially even ethical, no question about that. Summarizing up my top takeaways, AWS cares, there's no question about this, for security. That was clear all the time. AWS executives went very long to the claim that it's in the culture. What multiple people said, every Friday there's a meeting at AWS with the top executives and the product leads to talk about security events and strengthen the overall security posture. I think that's a great best practice. I, from my side, think it's nice to say it's culture, but culture can be everything and anything. I think I'm a true believer in organizational DNA, like we have the human DNA. We can't do certain things, and I trace this back to the real beginnings, because as far as I know, these security things came from the Jeff Bezos being the CEO era. That means Amazon at the time had to convince consumers to give their hard-earned money through a credit card to a website, which was kind of like questionable at the time, instead of going to an online brick-and-mortar retailer, not online, but a brick-and-mortar retailer, and then hope that at some point those books will show up and these goods will show up. So the security of the transaction, that nobody could take that away, of their data, of the user's data, has been always paramount for AWS, and I think that manifests itself, not for AWS, but for Amazon, but that manifests itself in AWS today. Those are my 5 takeaways from AWS Inforce in Philadelphia. What were your 5 takeaways? Love to hear from you. Please share them. Don't be shy in the comments here. Looking forward to hearing from you. This is Holger Mueller from Constellation Research. Thanks for watching. Over and out. Have a good day.
Brain on fire? Everybody's
Totally on fire. Yeah.
Okay, good. So now here's what we're going to do. You can @ me at Liz K. Miller on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days. You can also post comments to this video on places like LinkedIn or on YouTube. Hey, YouTube just added notes so the community can add things onto videos. Try that there. But I dare you to come for me in my background and tell me what's different.
Oh, all right. Interesting enough. A hint from Liz.
Okay.
I'm going to enrich the ending with a verb saying, which is new in Germany. I got this in French. I don't know it. Germans are saying now at the end of a podcast or video, you put a lid on it to close it. So let's put a lid on episode number 82. Thanks for being here, Liz. Thanks for everybody watching. Please be social. Follow Liz Miller. Tell her what has been changed in her background. Don't forget. Or not. Make a sound. Burp.
Hello?
Okay, good. I can hear you. Now I'm officially Mueller AI.
Don't tell Andy that.
Hey, I'm official. I'm official. I got an AI sticker.
Ooh. Now you can spell your name with an AI. What?
Mueller AI.
Not-
Mueller AI is a real thing. Hey, we have to do
Zip
what
it.
we've never done. We have to be done here in 20 minutes. And she moved. Oh, did she have that TV there? Just new insights into Liz.
TV and that shelf look new.
Yeah, that looks different, right? And we don't see the bike maybe behind the chair. There's still a bike thing. So
Yeah,
things
maybe.
are happening. Things are happening in the Miller household, and we don't get the update and tour. Scandalous. Scandalous. Have you done some home improvement, Liz? I mean, we don't recognize the background. The TV, the shelves, I mean, I know the bike. Maybe the bike distracts me so much, like, oh, there's a bike there, that I don't notice the rest, but we don't hear you. Or I don't hear you.
Yep.
Uh-huh,
See, I've got a little Lego vase and my plants.
That doesn't come up in the resolution, but I appreciate the Lego.
Yeah, my little Lego vase there, and
Yep.
and I got my sign right there. It says "To the dance floor."
That's
Yeah,
all
it's
new
my
stuff.
office.
New stuff,
No,
right? Look,
this has been here forever.
both
this has been
Hannah
here
and
for a
me
while.
could vouch we have not seen that.
I
Have
thought
you changed the angle of your PC?
Nope. Not that I know of.
I think it's because
Yeah.
the
Maybe has it been
We have video coverage of the previous one. Hannah, find the screenshot of the last ones. This is all new stuff, and Liz doesn't admit it.
Yeah.
So the only new thing over there is the Lego guy. It is it's from a furniture store in London.
So does it hold water, or is it?
It does. It holds water. I could put a fake plant in there. I could put
Nice.
real flowers in there. I'm just gonna
I
keep
need
it crazy. So
I
every
need a
time we
close-up.
film something, I'm gonna put some weird shit in the top of that Lego, and you're gonna be like, "What?" Here he is.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, it's a Lego man. Look at that.
That's a
Even
little
better.
Lego man.
Even better.
Don't
Come here
use
for a
these
moment.
balls.
Your favorite friend. Your friend is here. Your friend. Come here.
Who's my
Come
friend?
here. Look.
Who's my
Look. Yeah. Look here. Here. She's hanging out with him. She's ditching me for him. He just came in the building, in the house. Yeah.
Look at
Mr.
but I can't participate.
Crawford is here. Yeah. Sorry. It's
CC.
inclement. I would split my headset for you, but
It's
yeah.
okay.
I would split my headset for you. Hey, fix your title. Fix your title.
I don't know how to. It's all Hannah.
Oh,
What's wrong with my title?
God.
Oh, Constellation
Look at
Research.
your-
Okay. Self-service.
Hang on. No, let me take care of
Yeah,
things
yeah.
for
See,
you.
it
Oh,
works.
there it
It's
is. Oh,
AI.
God.
Liz, it's AI. My personal assistant for subtitles. and
HH.
StreamYard. Her name
It's
is
HH. No. Your
HH.
AI is called HH. Let's
HH.
just
Exactly.
remember that.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're rolling.
Go.
To put a lid on an episode is probably one of the oldest PR statements in humanity.
Really? I never heard this in English.
Figured this shit out.
I never heard it in English.
Yes, it's so when you put a lid on. So when you put a lid on an event, you're closing it down. So like in PR, if you're
Sure.
going to put a lid on your press conference, that's
I've
that's
never
when you
heard
end
that in
it,
English.
or you make it private. So if you put hey, we're putting a lid on this announcement
right.
until this
I
time.
should have said,
it's like,
machen wir einen Deckel drauf. Machen wir einen Deckel drauf. That's the German thing.
What?
Ja, genau.
What?
See, we'll practice
What?
it. Machen wir einen Deckel drauf. Machen wir
That
einen
sounds-
Deckel drauf. See, that would have been you.
That sounds.
We do that. We
like
practice it
something
next time. You get the homework.
completely-
I need to run to my next recording, guys. Good to see you guys.
Late again.